is, to me, is not an issue that will demand that we remove the ultimatum. What it does demand is that we be careful as to how we apply the ultimatum, which is like
one more question.
because we need the ultimatum. We have people who
I'm not saying don't have an ultimatum when I make this point here. What I'm trying to find out is the death penalty the only ultimatum? And something else to consider as well. I'm not sure if anybody addressed this before I got here. But how effective is the death penalty? I was listening to our Government Information Services, our Inside Story segment, when the death penalty was now being brought back into our national consciousness. And the 4th year that the death penalty was instituted in Trinidad and Tobago, the very 4th year that we ever killed people for committing crimes. Crimes were just as much as the year just before we instituted capital punishment. Of course, the first 3 years we said, things moving best. The death penalty is doing exactly what we wanted it to do, deterring people from crime. And then people saw it as a natural occurrence and continued killing anyway, because people who commit crimes, or at least a large percentage of people who commit crimes with a certain mindset. That mindset being, I know what I'm doing is wrong, but I will not get caught. They can't fear death after that. What do we do next?
we catch people.
Yes.
And we take those minds, we put those minds out of function.
No.
By killing them.
Yeah. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. You start doing. Remember, if they think they can't get caught, right? You start showing them that they can, and they have a lot of ways to intimidate people. But if it is they implemented capital punishment and they didn't up the standard of police work, people will still say I can't get caught, because if your friend commits a crime and wasn't caught, you will then assume I could commit a crime and not get caught.
Right.
So, okay, what happens then if you get to that penalty or whatever? Don't you think the criminals are going to get smarter and commit even more gory murders?
And something else that we haven't considered yet. No, wait.
They will get smarter.
We didn't consider one thing. No, Devon, you don't.
No, they're on their field, and their particular field of crime, right? When they need to educate
Can I finish?
There's actually a study that was a hub for criminals.
Can I finish?
That individuals who pass through people who pass through the criminal system, people who pass through the prison system, sorry. That what happens to them is they meet individuals with different criminal experiences because of the current state of the criminal system. And what happens to them is they feed off of other people's. It's a crime. They feed off the criminal system. That is because of our failure in prison reform. Really, what we're saying is, and I like what you said about the fact that we do need to. I could almost deal with that compromise. But if after all this investment in prison reform, we still meet criminals that want to commit crimes regardless of the accessibility of accessibility of their success, if we realize that after that they're still going to commit their crime, then yes, to some degree I do believe that the death penalty is necessary. But then we are almost arguing that this debate is premature, in that we do not know what happens when we invest this time and this energy in the prison reform, and then we are saying that even if we do invest this time and energy, we still need to have this on the back burner regardless of what the successes are when we invest. I think we need to invest. We could keep the concept in mind, because the concept is not something far-fetched. The concept is not something that we're going to lose centuries down the line. But let's focus on investing in reinstituting human beings into the society that we created for human beings. And if after that we realize that the possibility of success is the same as it is now, then I will have to cut off my tongue and say we can. Tipping point. I'll leave that point to you.
I'll
write it
My
down.
point's already gone, but what I was saying is, even though I don't live in Laventille, I still live around destructive people. And at the end of the day, they think, shut up. They think if you harm them, they're going to make it worse for you. So they're going to take what you did and magnify it and see how much you like it. So take, for instance, death penalty. Okay, you hang us, alright. I'm going to hunt down your children, and I'm going to hang them in such a manner that their eyes pop out, or make them bleed internally slowly, and you sit down and watch. You will make them worse. whatever you come with, say, okay, you come with lethal injection. Okay, cool. I'm gonna inject something in your bloodstream. Let's inject some, I don't know, eye drops.
Eye drop.
And what
eye drops poisonous.
Yeah.
BMAs, we have BMAs.
So
Chemical
basically,
They will make matters worse.
basically what you fight.
Yes.
What you're
No, you
saying.
see,
Yes.
everybody gathers.
Yes.
Everybody gathers.
Why get a chance to say?
Hey,
Why
you
get a
didn't let
chance to
everybody.
say?
Hey, what we say about my forum? We didn't have none of this.
No, sorry, I was in charge of the bars really.
No, I was stopping him. I was stopping him.
Every time.
Therefore, I was stopping him.
Alright.
Hey.
You don't need to become smarter. That's nice.
So basically, when you say that criminals will attack the law, right? You're fighting down a balance of power. Because if we as citizens, we believe that the law is absolute. And if the criminals don't believe, you don't believe the law is absolute? You don't believe that the law is the strongest power in this state? Well, that's where we differ. If it is, you could show me proof that criminals are stronger.
Somebody in court so that they don't.
Well, that's individual interests, of course.
Alright.
That's individual interests, of course. But my statement to you is that that there's no stronger power in terms of a society within which the institutions merge and create a mesh in order for it to succeed to its purest extent. And more importantly, the law is, how to say it? All right, let me try to answer you. I'll try to answer you the best way possible.
Even question.
I'll try to ask it again, just so I'm absolutely no.
What I'm saying is that in a society, I believe that the law is the strongest force. The law has the
absolute force.
Yeah, the law commands the police system. It commands the normal civilian, normal citizens, and it also commands the army. If it is these three bodies are not stronger than criminal elements and gangs, then all hope is lost. Because if the law that embodies the very structure and foundation of your society is not stronger than the thing that is there to destroy society, you have no battle to fight.
Well, then you look at the law, you look at the problems in the law, realize why it is that these elements are stronger than the law, and then you draft a system that works.
That's what criminology is. We created a study for this, sir. Okay.
Last point.
I wanna. If this is the last point, it means I'm on the right track. Because what I want to address here is the full concept of rehabilitation. Because I think people miss the fact that criminals think that they won't get caught. If a criminal is still not getting caught, the death penalty is still not going to affect him until he dies. What we need is criminals to either be afraid or to have something else to think about than crime. There was a book by Malcolm Gladwell. Called The Tipping Point, where in one of the chapters he addressed the entire broken windows theory and everything else that was linked to it. In New York, especially close to the subway systems, there was large amounts of crime taking place, large amounts of vandalism, petty thefts, a few murders here and there, including janitor by the name of Bernard gets catch a vaps one day and just shoot 3 people inside of a train
Because he thought that they were going to rob him.
normal. And people was like,